Hey traders, Nick Shaheen looking at Palantir. It's been a few weeks since I did a video on this one. I think 331 was the last time I did a video, and I just reviewed it. I usually try to do that before I do another video to remember what was my message and if it was on point or not. And to be honest, it was perfect. So here was the statement then. I said it's okay to fade. In fact, I said expect sellers, and I pointed at 2590 it was, I think. In fact, I took a snapshot of it. This was me, let me bring it over to the right, pointing at the level where I expected sellers to come in into 26. And I spoke about this zone that had been in contention in the olden days, like just a couple months before that, and that it was onus on the bulls to get back into it. Okay, so that was the statement back then. So it's okay to fade as long as you don't lose the bottom that you're trying to establish. So the bottoming process should not be a V. It should be a process of establishing a footing, and then trying to attack at the necklines where you failed before and get above them. And once you do, then it's floor, and you build a building on a nice foundation. When you do a V, you have a bad foundation. It's vulnerable to dips out of nowhere. So here we go. The update from here is going into earnings. Aside from the fact that the reaction to the earnings is a complete coin flip. So you think you have an edge because you think or you know for a fact they're going to deliver a great report. That has nothing to do with the next day trade. The knee-jerk reaction is not based on the actual fundamentals and the quality of the report. Let me prove it to you. Think back 2, 3 years, 1 year, and say Microsoft. It hasn't delivered a bad report, right? But if you look at the earnings reactions, it had 3 downs and 1 up, maybe. So if indeed the reaction the next day, the knee-jerk reaction, I'm not talking like the eventual move, the knee-jerk reaction to the earnings, if indeed it was tied to the quality of the report, then it would make sense for all of the reactions to be up, because the mega caps have not delivered one bad report in years. When you think of Apple's reports, it hasn't delivered a stinker in a long time, right? So it's all about the expectations relative to the stock price at that point. That's it. It's how many people think like you, how many people think like me. We don't know. It's the human sentiment factor that we cannot forecast, regardless of the actual business results. So let me tell you what I think of the company. I think it's in the right area. It empowers businesses to make good decisions on the fly with all the data that's freaking flying around. So yeah, it's nice to have all the data, but what can your employees or your teammates do with it? That's the key. So they empower people to almost do like push button decisions on the fly. So you set it up once and you use it all the time. That's the idea there. So good business to be in. Good company, sure, they're new on the market as far as IPO, but they're not new. They have a business. So I'm in favor of their business. I'm in favor of how they laid out their team. So everybody I hear from that company sounds like $1 billion. They all represent well their company. They're confident. They exude confidence. So it's infectious. That's why Wall Street gives them a pass. That's why they have already gained the benefit of the doubt on Wall Street. So they have $1 billion billing on a yearly basis. They have government contracts. They have private sector. So 2 faces. I like that. Price action. I like the establishment that they took my advice, so to speak. They held the floor. Lower highs, fine. No lower lows. So the battle becomes lower highs tightening into a lower low, and eventually they come to a point. They will run out of time because this will hit, and then that will expedite that process of breaking down or breaking out. So the strategy is somebody's going to say, I guarantee you, somewhere along the line in the comments, that's been my week with the trolls lately, that, oh, beautiful, you told us it could go up, it could go down. Well, yeah, because there's a coin flip event coming. Of course, it could go up and could go down. What I'm telling you, though, what they expect once either situation happens. If it breaks down, I will buy the dip. I am already long with free money, so to speak. I use the options. I bought long-dated calls. I sold put spreads. The put spreads expired for maximum gains, or I closed them for almost maximum gains. So I have money in my pocket from that. I bought calls and I sold covered calls against them. They expired in my favor. I've got money in my pocket. So my cost basis in the calls is virtually nothing. So I'm long basically with house money, right? So I'm long. That's why I'm not worried. But if it falls, and I won't say I hope it falls because my friends are long or because it hurts people, and that's just bad juju. So if it falls, I'll be a buyer. Where? There are several levels, and there'll be another video going out to members. So with the trade setups, the breakout, onus is on the bulls to overcome the stinking orange line. What is this orange line? It's why it was sticky last time. It's the point of control. So that is the place where it's busiest. The most bulls and bears love to trade it at that level. So these are the volume bars as to when they happened. This orange line tells me that this is the level where most of them happened, literally. So going through it is taking a lot of work. But once you clear it, it becomes support. So the process of clearing it, number one, is exceed this week's high. That's a mini trigger to get you to a bigger trigger at 2620. Now get above 2620, you will face immediate, it's a trigger for, machines will chase it and momentum traders will chase it. But it will face immediate heavy resistance at 2750. That level has history. So what I think will happen is a mini breakout here gets you to this better trigger. And then battle over the trigger, get above it, and try to tackle this one right there. All of this is probably not going to unfold. What? You just spent the whole time? Because this is going to probably hit first. We'll see how the week unfolds. This says that they report on the 12th, 11th. Double check. This is not always correct. But that's an event that could expedite this battle, and we wake up one day either whoosh down or bang up. So if it's whoosh down, I'll take the gift. I'll sell naked puts to own shares. That's the only reason I would sell naked puts. I would sell a put spread if I don't want to own the shares, or I would buy calls or shares and sell calls against them right away. So that would be the strategy. All right, so let me see. I'm going to unveil my lines and see how well I spoke to them. Dang. Okay, so let's see here. All right, mini pivot zone here, support zone, and a hard line down here. If lost, new leg lower. See, I'm a bull on this stock, and I'm open to seeing red. So this week, I did a video on AMC. You won't believe the cuss words and the personal insults in social media and calling me all kinds of names, and it's unbelievable. Just because I mentioned that it may not be ideal to chase the stock. I didn't say it's a crappy company. I didn't say whoever invests in it isn't crappy. I didn't use one cuss word, but they flew off the handle. So when I'm bullish a stock, if I cannot admit that there could be downside, I'm too emotionally involved, and I need to get a second opinion as to what I do with my stock, because I clearly am in the box and I can't make the right decision. In this case, I'm in the box, but I can definitely make the right decision at the right time. So I'm ready. I know there's going to be sellers there. So if somebody says, I sell it there, I'll say, good job. But you better cover your short as soon as you get above there, because you're going to get whacked in the face if you don't. And if somebody panics and sells it here, and I say, you made a mistake because it's going to turn around soon. Confident. Okay, so this is what the homework does. As opposed to somebody nitpicking, so, well, good job. You told me it can go up. You told me it can go down. Yeah, but I told you what to do if one happens or the other. I don't have a crystal ball, and neither do you. Nobody knows where a stock is going. But at least I have a plan as to along the way. If I go over step 1, I can act this way and that way to profit. If I go over step 2, I can act this way and that way to profit. Having a plan is doing it with in a smart way. Otherwise, you're just winging it and hoping for the best. And the statisticians tell us that 80%, thereabouts, of trading is done by machines. You think you're going to beat a machine just winging it. And if you don't think you're competing against the machine, who do you think you're buying stock and options from? Yeah, they don't go off the shelf. There's an opponent, and the seller is usually smarter than you and me, because they're the market makers and they're taking the risk, and nothing happens without them selling. So the fact that they're confident selling you something, they think you're going to lose. So it is a contest, and you should be open to the other side of the trade. That's it. Nothing here is a recommendation to act on the stock. I'm merely sharing my thoughts on how the chart lines up and what I would do in the next move in this stock.